first only television.
Good evening. It's Thursday. I've been shopping, which is the first time I've been out of the house for over a week. And goodness me, shopping is stressful. People seem to have just decided, yeah, coronavirus, don't care. Social distancing out of the window. So I think I'll just do home shopping from now on, please. Ryako Music and Array of Emotions. Good evening to the two of you. Ryako says, what the is wrong with people? Indeed. I had to have a cinnamon roll when I got home and a cup of tea, a large cup of tea, just to recover. But I'm feeling better now. So, it's Thursday evening. It's my 15th regular Thursday night Twitch show. How did that happen? Shout out to my new followers, he said, looking at his OBS display. Shout out to Rob D47, who followed me last week. Hello, Rob. Shout out to Mr. G Wiz, who followed me. Shout out to Paul, Mr. Dragon Dreams himself. Shout out to Amanda J West. I hope you're recovering okay from Storm Eileen. Hello to Andy Getch. Loved your stuff at the Formstock live stream at the weekend, Andy. Great stuff. That was huge fun. Hello to Duct Tape Guy, who has christened me the Bob Ross of home recording. So thanks for that, Sean. I'm going to use that for all it's worth. And thank you to Wobby. Shout out to Wobby for following me as well. So lots of new followers this week, which is lovely. I've kind of set myself an informal goal to become an affiliate level Twitch type person by Christmas, New Year-ish. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I do and we'll see what happens. But please spread the word. If you've not watched me on Twitch and you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. Please subscribe. Please click like with the little thumbs up icon at the bottom and click the notification bell to find out the next time that I post one of these heavily edited down to get rid of all the hesitation and repetition onto YouTube. And I've been doing that quite regularly now, and I'm spending about a day a week editing video, which I really didn't anticipate doing this time this year. But hello. Ryako Music says cinnamon rolls for the win. Yes, very, very definitely for the win. After last week's, various people said, or made comments about the studio in here. And there is a reason my brother bought me this, which is Marie Kondo's book. Our family specialises in passive-aggressive snark, and buying me that was, I think, probably the greatest winning move in our family's history of snark since our family's history of snark began. Array of Emotion says that show was lame. I never watched her show, to be honest. I just understand the idea that if something does not bring you joy, you get rid of it. But I mean, good God, man, look at this room. I mean, all this stuff, it might come in useful. Yeah, this is where Marie Kondo and I part company. Array of Emotions says she's anti-books. I mean, nobody in their right mind is anti-books. If you've seen my house, you would know that I am not anti-books. And I have been at Itland. Good evening. I have been reading some cracking books over the last couple of months. I'm way behind on my Goodreads. I'm on Goodreads as head first only, surprisingly enough. So if you do the Goodreads thing, which is kind of like Letterboxd but for books, then please say hi, follow me, friend me, or whatever people do on Goodreads, and you will see that I set myself the challenge of reading 60 books this year, which is the same challenge I set myself last year. And last year I managed it without any trouble. And this year I'm struggling for some reason. This week I've really had brain fog and ground to a halt pretty much. Maybe it's the sort of come down after hitting 60 last Tuesday. Mel and David, your balloon is still up. Despite the box saying it'll probably last about 5 days, it's now been 9 days and it's still rocking the 60 years young logo on the front of it. So thank you very much for that. Array of Emotion says, yay! So, what's happened this week? Well, this thing, because as most of you know by now, this is a desk and bunk bed combination from Argos that I bought with Nectar points, so it didn't cost me anything, about 12, 15 years ago. And I've had enough of the head injuries, and for the last 2 or 3 years I've been looking for a desk, a proper studio desk that would fit all this gear, and came to the conclusion earlier this year that the sort of desks that you buy from DV47 or Toman or Sweetwater or Gear for Music or any of those places are either hideously overpriced, and I'm talking thousands of pounds, or not what I was looking for. And then I found a guy called Guy who lives down the road in Hanwell in Somerset, just off the M5, and he makes a set of studio desks, bespoke studio desks, I might add, from reclaimed furniture. So these things are built like tanks. Have a look at his site, Chunky Studio Furniture. That's what you need to Google. And last week I pulled the trigger and ordered a desk. So the bed will be going. The desk should arrive shortly after the festivities on 5090 draw to a close, so it shouldn't disrupt my 5090 activities. And I'm finally getting rid of the desk. I'm going to move things around. So Ryako Music says, your head will thank you. Yeah, believe me, I bear the scars. But the plan is, if I just come over here, so the plan is that the desk is going to be there so I can stare out of the window while I'm mixing, and the synths are probably going to go against that wall. So it means all my gear is going to have to move round, and I will probably knacker myself, which is another reason why I don't want to do it during 5090. So I'm already excited. In fact, I'm stupidly excited about it because I've been wanting to do this for 10, 15 years. This has always been the room where I do my creative stuff. Back in the days when I just had the JX3P and an ARP Odyssey and one Marshall stack and the H&H VS Musician and a few other bits and pieces, but one guitar, then this room shared all my creative kit with my drawing board and all my drawing equipment. And that's why that bookcase is there, because that bookcase is full of, well, it's my science fiction collection overflow, but it's also got loads of comic stuff in it. So things like this little gem, which my brother and his family bought me for my birthday a couple of years ago. It is a glossy coffee table book full of covers of Marvel comics from when Marvel first started. It's glorious. I keep on digging it out and just leafing through it. And a couple of years before that, they bought me the DC Comics version as well. So there's shitloads of creative, inspirational material in here. But yeah, Array of Emotion says get help. Yeah, I am not. Believe me. I mean, you just have a look at the desks. Apparently, they come delivered on pallets. So I will not be doing that on my own. Thank you very much. And I'll probably not be disassembling this on my own. Although somehow, 10, 15 years ago, I put this together by myself with an Allen key. That was it. So, new desk. That's why, in fact, Wheels in Motion was the track that I recorded at the weekend. Is called Wheels in Motion because I had set Wheels in Motion. You see what I did there? I tried playing guitar on Wheels in Motion, and that was a mistake, wasn't it? So the elbow brace is still on, and I think it will. I'm just going to lay off the guitars for a while, which is a great shame because I like playing guitar, and I kind of liked where I ended up with Wheels in Motion. But to console myself, I've basically been playing with all my synth plugins. So what I thought I'd do tonight, because I had real fun doing it last Saturday night, was Ryako Music says, I see what you did there. Also, stop hurting yourself. Yes, Mel, will do. Last Saturday night, I had a whale of a time trying to put an entire track together in 60 minutes. Now, I'm going to be a bit more relaxed this evening, but what I thought I would do is I would go back to my trusty, tried and tested DAW of choice, which is Ableton. And oh, by the way, I read the chat from Sunday's Audacity debacle. Huge shout out to DZD or DZD, who left me a message on my soundboard on the 5090 site and said, oh, I know what you did. He said, if you look at the click track, there's a marker on the click track and you'd left it at the end. So every time you hit record, it would just depend from where the marker on the click track was. Which is helpful because now I know I wasn't going insane. But why the hell didn't the marker reset to the beginning when I pressed the reset to the beginning button on the transport on the toolbar? Audacity. And another thing, I have been on a quest for you, dear viewers, for the 5090 show. I have been looking at and installing free DAWs. Now, we've already had a look at Cakewalk, and I have nothing bad to say about Cakewalk at all. I really like it. I was very flattered when I got a message this week from somebody who I know as Geordie, but you know him on 5090 as Fuzzy, who watched my live stream at the weekend and was so motivated by it that for the first time ever, Fuzzy has installed a DAW, and the DAW he picked is Cakewalk. So I am ridiculously excited to hear what Fuzzy will do with a DAW, because what he does just with a tape recorder and a melodica and a bunch of other stuff just tickles my funny bone every time I listen to it. Do check Fuzzy's stuff out on 5090 if you don't already. Atitlan says, I've actually been playing with Audacity. It's got pull stretch built in, which is seriously cool. Funny you should mention that. Would try multi-tracking though, especially after your experience. Reason and Studio One for the win. Array of Emotions, lots of interface quirks that make sense to nobody but the creator. That's gonna crop up in something else that I'm going to talk to. Atitlan says, Cakewalk looks very, very good for a free book. Trust me, folks, if you want a free DAW, and I know Wobby absolutely loves Cakewalk, BandLab's Cakewalk. It's free. New version of it dropped this afternoon. I like the Cakewalk interface. I can understand the Cakewalk interface. When I install stuff, I understand how it installs. Definite 10 out of 10 from HFO for Cakewalk if you're looking for a free DAW that basically has all the bells and whistles. I mean, it's picked up all my reverbs and my plugins. So, you know, all the audio effect, and it sorts them, which I love too. So all my reverbs are in there. Look at that. Nimbus, R4, Sonitus, Reverb. I really like it. You can tell, can't you? By comparison, the DAW that might be free, but in the HFO guidebook to installing a free DAW, the one that sucks balls and gets the wooden spoon is Traction's Waveform 3. It took me 2 hours to figure out how to enable the free version. That's how bad it is. All right, I get that you don't want to delete a project, but does it really have to have a bright red button on it? Array of Emotions, our resident UI expert, says, on first glance, looks gnarly. Mate, this is only the landing screen. You should see the rest of it. When you actually try moving to a project, and you do it all by tabs, but the tabs don't have consistent names, and it calls a project an edit rather than a project. Or does it call it a project? Or is it an edit? Or is it a project edit? Or is it a file? I don't know. Neither do they. All the buttons are all over the place. All right. Go on, folks. Here's a quiz for you. How would you arm track 1? Where's the button to arm track 1? Can you see it? Because I can't. In fact, I'm not even sure where it is. Oh, look. It appears magically when you click on the little red line to the side of the track. And now I can arm the track. And where's me? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So there's a record button down there. And I can't. Oh, I hate it. I really, really do hate it. I might, in some masochistic future live stream, actually try and make something with it, but it just makes my head hurt at the moment. You get some nice sound effects, but I mean, do I really need a warthog attack? I'm not. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's. Thank you. Ryako Music says, oh dear. That's the polite version of my response. Bye waveform 3. No, I don't. So let us return to the soothing ambience of a decent bloody DAW. And here we are with Ableton Live 10, which has all my stuff in the way that I've got used to in the more than 10 years that I've been using Live. And ain't that a scary thought? So I've loaded me Spitfire Audio template because Spitfire Audio, BBC Symphony Orchestra, Discover, and all the rest. But I'm just going to fold up most stuff for the moment because I've been having fun this week. In fact, I've been having huge fun. And I just remembered the thing that I was going to mention before I started making a track, which I've been having fun with this week, and that Atislan mentioned, and that Guy Mitchellmore in ThinkSpace devoted an entire 30-minute show to this week, and that's this little fella up here, Paul Stretch. Now, Paul Stretch is free. It's also very, very old. I can't even remember when I installed this, but it was a long time ago, probably around 2011, judging by that copyright notice. And as you can see, it's still got the Windows 95 kind of skin on it. But Paul Stretch is brilliant. What does it do? It takes an audio file and it stretches it by ludicrous amounts. So let's open an audio file. And I think, if I remember, the one I've got in here. So we've got an audio file of an agogo. So this is what it sounds like. Right. So it's just a ringy, a go-go-y type bell. Play it again. Thing is, I can stretch it a lot, like by hours, if not days. So I've stretched it to 172 times its initial duration. And if I play it now, it sounds a bit different. And it will keep going, and it will keep going. Now, in fine Blue Peter tradition, I've been playing with this afternoon. So I don't know if you remember a track that I released on my album Beyond last year, which was called Moths, which was a revision of a song that I wrote for, I think it was 5090 in 2018. And it had a nice stereo panned ping-ponged rhythm guitar section to it. Well, I dropped it into Paul Stretch this week, and this is the result. So those crashing waves are actually cymbals. Atitlan says instant cinematic. And it's phenomenal, and it's an open secret within the cinematic scoring community, according to Mr. Mitchellmore, who knows about these things. And he loves it, so he was absolutely raving about it. So I will expect a lot of people will be using Paul Stretch from now on. So there's the lead guitar coming in. bloody love it. It just, if you're completely stuck for inspiration, just take something you've already written and drop it into Paul Stretch and stretch it. I mean, this will go on for nearly 3/4 of an hour. So you get the idea. It kind of reminds me of Sun, says Array of Emotions. Ryako Music says, I'll look for it. Yeah, folks, you need Paul Stretch in your creative arsenal. It's free. It's not particularly up to date, as you can see, but who cares? It just does great stuff. And as Atitlan says, the latest versions of Audacity, Paul Stretch is actually embedded into it, which is fantastic. So if you've got Audacity, you may even already have it. But if not, Paul's Extreme Sound Stretch. It's created by Nasca Octavian Paul from Romania, and Guy actually tried to find out a bit more about him, but Paul is a man of mystery, and Guy was unable to shed any light on its originator or any background as to where this little gem came from. But that's Paul Stretch. So that was my squirrel. So we're back on my my favourite DAW of choice. We're on Ableton Live 10 Suite, and I was chuckling at the chat during last week's mess that I made using Audacity, because people in the chat, main of people in the chat here were making comments and comparing different DAWs to different sort of dinner dates, which I found hilarious, especially when Mel described Pro Tools, which after all is the Bentley of DAWs. As the dinner date's reaction would be, well, I thought you were buying me the restaurant. So, and to answer M. Knight's question during that live stream, he wanted to know what my first DAW was. And strangely enough, it was Cakewalk, but it was 1994 era Cakewalk, which was a very different beast to what it is now. And I mainly used it for MIDI because my PC at the time was an original Pentium, complete with the floating point bug. I actually had to mail my processor back to Intel in Swindon and got a new processor that I had. They gave you a little tool to put it in the motherboard. Can you imagine that happening now? But my Pentium Tower PC from Gateway had an Ensoniq sound card in it that had a wavetable synth built into it. So the MIDI renditions that it made were jaw-dropping. You know, they're as good as stuff that you get these days. But this was 1995. I was gutted when I realised that the sound card was actually an ISA sound card, so won't fit in anything anymore. So it went to the recycling along with the computer, because I couldn't even resuscitate the computer because the battery that held the date was soldered onto the motherboard in a 48-pin connecting housing that I couldn't replace, although I bought one of the 48-pin chips because it was £5 from Radio Spares. Could I solder it onto the board? No. Total waste of money, total waste of an absolutely gorgeous piece of kit. But a moment's silence for my first Pentium, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's enough. So where are we? Metal Foundry I've gone back to Devin Townsend's Dev Kit, which sounds very sort of flat and woofy when you listen to it on its own, but it works perfectly in a mix because Devin's a genius. So I've got a count in, which is probably, let me just check, it's probably a straight 4. Yeah, straight 4/4, 4-beat count in. So is that straight 4/4? Did it say? Yes, straight 4/4. So what are we going to look at? I've been having fun with the Metal Foundry's double kick drum type stuff, especially Dirk Verburen's sampled stuff. So let's go slow. So we'll go down to about 94, and Dirk's first song here is 89 BPM. So this is playing a little faster than it's supposed to, but what do we got? We've got... So yeah, it's double kick drum, and it will go mental. But we don't need to use the headbanging stuff all the time, so I'm not going to. So what have we got? So in case you don't know how the Superior Drummer works, which I guess probably quite a few of you don't, you've got a bunch of libraries. Each library has different drum kits in it. So Superior Drummer will load any of its Superior expansion kits, and I've got 2. I've got the Metal Foundry and the Progressive Foundry. It has its own internal sets of drum kits, and there are also sets of drum kits in the Metal Foundry and the Progressive Foundry. So the dev kit looks like this, and it's got all the brass and a whole bunch of toms. Nice snare. It sounds like being slapped by a wet haddock. Nice kick. Got a bit of beef to it, that. It's a Drum Workshop 24-inch kick, so that's probably not surprising. So how does Superior Drummer work? Well, you've got 4 tabs. So you've got one tab that actually controls what the drums are doing, and you can swap particular drums out. So if I don't like that 5x14-inch Pearl free-floating brass, I can pick a different one, and it will instantly load it and will instantly load the iterations of that snare being hit into the kit. The next tab is the one that is the most fun, because this is all the grooves. This is the MIDI files that Superior Drummer uses to play the drums. And there are different families. So Metal Foundry, I've got a bunch of stuff by Dirk Verburen, a bunch of stuff by Gene Hoglan, and a bunch of stuff by Peter Friedlander, who does a lot of stuff for Toontrack. But we're going to go with Dirk's stuff. So if I click on Dirk's stuff, that opens all Dirk's songs either in a straight 4/4 beat or here a swing 4/4 beat. But we're going to go with the straight 4/4 beats. So now we've decided on, or I've decided on song number 1, which is recorded to be played at 89 BPM, but I'm going to play it back at 94 BPM because I'm a rebel. So within that, there are intro fills to kick it off. So how would you start it? Well, you might start it like this. Income guitars. So it's looping. It's a 1-bar loop. Here's another one. And then you go into the main song. And the main songs, there are a whole bunch of variations with hi-hats open, like the one I just played you. Nice bit of tom-toms there. And the double kick drum stuff. And then there are some where Dirk plays more on the cymbals. It's a nice ride cymbal bell there. So if you've got all that brass, you're going to use it, aren't you? Here's a crash. So this line here, the intensity, the more that grey bar goes over to the right, the more full on your stuff is going to be. So the the least over the top is probably this one, which is cymbal 16. So it's 2 bars, 90 beats per minute. Sounds like this. Nice fill at the end. Specials, all the toms, pretty over the top, 4 bars in each one, because you've got 4 bars there, 4/4 signature. You see how it works. It's actually really easy to use, and I love it. Well, there's my bridge, isn't it? Array of Emotion says the amount of cymbals makes sense if this was put together when Ryan was in the band. Yeah, very much so. And it was. I'm sure it was. Because I'm thinking of stuff on probably Addicted would have been put together with this kit in the demo forms. And you know just how mad the drums are on that. Most of Ziltoid was done with that kit as well, as far as I know. So yeah, there's various fills that we can drop in when we've done a bit more. So the other two tabs, what have we got? We've got a mixer, which lets me actually drop. I can either route each individual part of the kit out to its own track if I wish to, but I'm just going to mix. It's all mixed down into just left and right. There's various ambience. You can drop EQ and compression and a whole bunch of built-in effects. It's very, very powerful. And then at the end, there's tracker, which is basically if you don't have something like Ableton, you can drop an audio to get a MIDI, so it will listen to stuff and play it. It's a part of Superior Drummer that I have yet to really get to grips with, but it's kind of a bit like the equivalent thing in Easy Drummer, which is a hoot. Anyway, let's go back to grooves, because time's going. I've already been going nearly 3/4 of an hour, and all we've got is a 1 bar count in. So pick up the pace, Chris. Let's go back to our hats open variations. That was our... That'll do. So import tempo and time signature data. No, because I want to keep it at 94 BPM. So we'll stretch that out for, 5 minutes or so? Should do, shouldn't it? Another reason why I'm putting a song together in front of your very eyes this evening is because I've only kind of done 25, 26 songs. Hang on. How many songs have I done? Let's open up my Explorer. Go back to... I've done 26. So haven't done many tracks. I'm a little bit behind the curve, and I want to do something about that. So the way I'm going to do something about that is I'm going to write a song now with your participation, please, in whatever way floats your boat. But I said that I'm not been playing guitar, and that kind of metal drums makes you think, well, Chris, you're doing metal. You've got to have guitars, haven't you, for metal? To which I say, hell no, because I am going to use Ploug's free SFZ file Sforzando player, which is a VST. You download it from Ploug's site, and then you go off onto the internets and look for sites that host SFZ files, of which there are many. And the one that I really like is this one. I used it on the 18-minute ambient track that I uploaded to 5090 this afternoon. Is that going to do anything, or is it just thinking about it? Oh, there's a little progress bar. I hadn't noticed that. There we go. Caryophyia samples. They have a... I'm going to do this properly.
War tuber.
And it needs reverb, so I'm going to smack up the reverb. Going to turn the size of the reverb up, put the decay up. We'll have it massive quality because I can. I want this legato. Right, so you can't get more metal than a war tuber. Ryako Music says, is this only for PC? That is a very good question. I don't think so. I think, let's have a look. I'm pretty sure there's a Mac version. There you go. Sforzando for macOS. Released June the 12th. There's also a user's guide and there's a whole bunch of sound banks. So go over to plogue.com, PLOGUE.com, and hit their downloads page. And you might also have fun with Alter Ego, which is a voice processor VST plugin, which is based on a woman's death metal voice, believe it or not. So it's here we go. Are there samples? I thought there were, because I remember laughing at them. Maybe not. But yeah, you can download Bones and you can download Marie Orc, and it will run with macOS or Windows. So knock yourself out. Ryako Music says, awesome. Rave Emotion says, time to channel Gustav Holst's Mars' theme. Absolutely. Holst was a metalhead. There is no doubt in my mind. And the number of metal bands who have covered Mars from the Planet Suite is probably well into 3 figures by now. I've seen more than one band play Mars live. Not all of them managed successfully, but hey-ho. Right, so we've got Sforzando. We've got the War Tuber loaded up. And as you can see, it's got a fairly limited tone range. So, I mean, it is absolutely, and turn your speakers up, you may remember. Q breaking glass and Richard Dreyfuss looking amused. So, yeah, sorry, John Williams. So we have a very metal bass line. So let's play a very metal bass line. I think rather than using the push, I've got the M3 fired up, so I'm going to turn down its audio engine. So I'm just using, which is an extravagance that I know is ridiculous. I'm going to be using a £2,500 music creation workstation as a 80 quid MIDI controller, but needs must. One day, perhaps when I have my new desk, I might actually have a MIDI keyboard controller for the keyboard controller shelf, pull-out shelf that I'm having fitted to my desk. So watch this space. Right, so let's just make sure. So the other thing with the Sforzando and with a lot of sample libraries, as you see at the bottom, there are different coloured notes that are outside the range of what you actually play. And with a big keyboard like the 88 key Korg M3, what that means you can do is you can switch between the different voicings. So I've got staccatissimo, staccato and sustain. So if I drop off the B at the bottom of the range, which is quite low, and play that, it will see it's changed it to staccatissimo. So those three keys change what voicing I use. How cool is that? Really helps when you're, and if, big shout out to Guy Mitchell-Moore. Love his stuff completely. If you've not tuned into the Think Space YouTube channel, then knock yourself out and go watch some of his videos, because I mean the guy does film scoring professionally, and goodness me, it shows. The guy is slick and wildly enthusiastic, and you will get occasional weasels in his YouTube videos. I will say no more. Right, so let's have a look where that is on the Korg M3, shall we? Oh, right, okay, so it's an octave higher up than I thought it. An octave lower down than I thought it was. So, okay, right. So I need a bass riff. So I'm going to switch this back to a 4-bar counting, then I can get comfortable on literally 4 feet away from where I'm sitting at the moment. And I'll come up with a bass riff on the spot. No pressure, Chris, and we'll see what happens. So we'll set the count into 4 bars. I'm not going to need a click track because the drums are going to do that for me. So I'm going to turn up the volume in the studio a bit. And here we go. That'll do. Sounded like it was missing a few notes there, so let's just move the interface out of the way, and in fact we'll close that down. Let's open the piano roll and let's see what we ended up with. Well, I played them, so what happened? Let's just see. Right, so I'm getting a bit of a double triggering there. That's probably what's killing the other note, because I don't think, although it says it's polyphonic, I kind of don't think it is. So if I get rid of those little ghost notes, that will stop it fighting with which note it's going to play. Right, let's see if that helps. Yeah, that was what did it, wasn't it? And I much prefer that, the way I played the opening riff the first time rather than every time after that. So I'm going to just copy that one to there. There's another ghost note there which was killing that. There's one there that I can see, which is, well, that one needs to change with the other one as well. So much discussion in the chat of Tori Amos playing harpsichord through a guitar pedal, Tori Amos style. I like your thinking, folks. I think we'll do that. So let's just change that. So this is basically, this is going to be, that's the verse, isn't it? That will do for the verse. We can do something different for the chorus. Right. So what we're going to do for the chorus, I think we'll stick with the brass. So we've got our war tuba. I think we'll have a call and response, and you can't go wrong with horns, can you? I mean, it's just, you know, it'd be churlish not to, wouldn't it? So that track's armed. I'm back on the push. So if we go 3 screens, because I've got more cameras than sense, and I hit the Logitech webcam with my head earlier. Yes, I narrowly avoided another head injury. You can see why I want to get a desk, can't you? Right, let's just move that out of the way. So, people were surprised how much I use the push as a compositional tool. And to be honest, I was surprised when I bought it all those years ago. And this is a push Mark 1. Push Mark 2 is so much sexier. Ryako Music says, how about longer held notes? Exactly what I was thinking. Not only longer held, I was thinking chords, because when you got horns, you've got to go for chords, haven't you? So that was C minor. So on the push, I hit the notes button, minor, let's go C minor, there we go. So now the push is configured to only play notes in the C minor scale, which is bonkers, but I love it. So C minor chord. I did a free download of an entire symphony orchestra, a free download of the militarized tuba, and all right, the DAW cost me a fair bit to buy when I bought it, but I've had it for years. I just love the amount of stuff that you can do musically on a DAW, and you could do all this in Cakewalk and literally have all this and not have spent any money more than the computer that you were running the software on and your electricity and internet bills, which I mean, is just insane. I cannot imagine what I would have thought as a 20-year-old when I was just starting to get into home recording, of saying, yeah, you know, 30 years' time, you'll have an entire symphony orchestra on your desk and it won't have cost you anything to buy it. Just insane. Right, so let's get our chorus underway. What's it going to sound like? Wasn't recording, was I? Not a problem. Capture MIDI. There's everything I just played. Ha! Ableton, you are mad geniuses, you are. So now we've got... Don't know about you lot, but that works for me, which is astonishing. First take. What's going on? Control U. So we'll quantize it, but I'm not too fussed about some of the notes ending at different times because it just makes it a little bit more human. So we have a verse, we have a chorus. And if I trim the beginning, because I've got a 1 bar count in, I can now just cut and paste. So remember what I did last Saturday, how I enthused about the importance of using markers. So I'm going to follow my own advice. So that's a verse, or even a verse. I can't spell. I actually had to have a milkshake when I got home after my cup of tea just to recover, because I bought one of those horrendously bad for you fridge, because it was on special offer for like 50p for a fudge brownie milkshake, and you're not going to say no, are you? Especially not with 6 ice cubes and 1/4 of a pint of milk and a bit of ice cream whizzed in with it. It was delicious. But I've been burping ever since. Right, after a chorus we'll have... Do we want a pre-chorus? I'm old. I don't... I understand where the pre-chorus is coming from, but I've never really sort of done them. So I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to go back to the verse. If somebody's got a real sort of explanation of the artistic merit of the pre-chorus, other than it sort of gets you wound up ready for the release of the chorus, then have at it, I say. But I just like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, verse, chorus, play out. It works for me, works for my dad, and whatever Tony Stark says after that as all the bombs go off behind him. Right, after the chorus, let's have a bridge. So we'll do something radically different and wacky in the bridge. What are we going to do that's radically wacky and different in the bridge, Chris, considering that you've got militarized tubas in the verse and a bunch of French horns doing metal in the chorus. You know, just how off the chain can you get with an 8-bar bridge? Well, we'll have to see, won't we? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So come back in off the bridge with a chorus, because I think it works better than going straight into a verse. So that in there. Then after that, another verse. You can see where I'm going, aren't you? Chorus there, and then a play out. So verse. This all becomes much more useful when you start cutting and pasting later on, especially if you're working to the clock, because if you're working to the clock, you're unlikely to have the luxury of recording separate takes for each instance of the chorus and the verse orchestration. So it helps to have everything neatly labeled, because then you can just select it and copy it. And it's about time we change this. Do not click live set, Chris. Save live set as is what you want, otherwise you'll overwrite your template, and you've done that 5 times already, this 5090, and it's getting kind of old. So this is song number 27. Okay, folks, over to you. What am I going to call this? Lots of very useful explanation from Ryako Music about what the pre-chorus is actually used for, which I will note. So, like pre-choruses, we use the same progression for verses and chorus. Pre-chorus provides a moment to switch up the chord progression. Okay, right. Yes, that makes sense. Thank you. I need a title, otherwise I'll just come up with something silly. I actually have. And Marv Smooth sent me this a while ago. I have a little book of song titles that I write down stuff from, just ideas. And I'll tell you what, we're using War Tubers, and I've got a title here which says Embers of War, because I'm just reading my mate Gareth Powell's concluding novel in the Embers of War series, which is a cracking series of science fiction novels about a sentient retired warship that has developed a sense of conscience and is trying to save the universe. And cracking set of books. And Ryako Music says all badgers of war. If we go down that route, I'm just gonna want to do Brian May and have Brian Blessed sampled in going, "Save the badgers," and that's kind of already been done. So let's stick with Embers of War. Let's stick with Embers of War. And if you haven't seen the anti-badger cull video that Weeble, who was the guy who came up with the original Shockwave Flash, badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom. And if you haven't seen that, there's a 10-hour edit of it on YouTube. But basically, Brian May then re-recorded badger, 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 in full-on Queen style, and got Brian Blessed to do the vocals. It's just glorious. Right, we've got Embers of War. We have a title. We have a structure. We have a bunch of stuff already. Now I'm going to go back to Superior Drummer, because what I want to do is I want to capture the vibe, A, of the bridge, and B, of the chorus. So the chorus is going to be a lot more switched up and massive. And I already said, oh yeah, the toms are going to work for the bridge, so let's put the toms in first. So specials, we've got 6 of them. Let's start with the most full on, although they're all pretty much full on. So what's this? I'm still belching that milkshake, and that was 2 hours ago. That is almost We Will Rock You, isn't it? So yeah, we'll have that. And I can repeat. Actually, what we'll do, we'll have the most full-on version for the second half of the bridge, and we'll have the least full-on version for the first half of the bridge. So there's a progression in excitement. So what does that sound like? Oh yes, and the crowd goes wild. Right, chorus. Choruses seem to, as an observer, choruses seem to employ cymbals a lot because they add to the excitement and the general sort of mayhem. So let's pick something. Do I want the double kicks? How's that work with the horns? Let's just drop that in and see what that sounds like. So in context, it's too much, isn't it? Mel says it will work with longer held notes. Yeah, it's too much of a leap from the. Let's try this. Let's try this one, which is crash cymbal. So there's lots of brass going on, but yeah, Ryako Music says it's too much. Absolutely, it is. How's this? We have a winner. That works, doesn't it? That absolutely works. I love that. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm going to be boring. I'm not going to do anything different in terms of drum patterns for the other choruses, because otherwise I'd spend another 45 minutes just playing different drum loops at you and you'd go insane. So we'll just stick with that. But what we can do, Superior Drummer has fill variations, which you can kind of drop in to alert the listener that things are going to change. So at the end of all those repetitions of the verse, we can do, there you go, you can use double kicks in an aggressive bridge if you're dying for those double kicks. Well, what I'm sure we'll have here in the fills is a sudden burst of double kicks to go, pay attention, the chorus is coming. So what have we got? Ooh, that's kind of a bit over the top. That's kind of more sensible. You can see how you could transition from the fairly slow and sedate verse beat into the double kicks in the chorus by one of those fills, because it would ramp stuff up. But I'm gonna keep things relatively staid and just drop that fill in, which will sound like this. remain to be convinced. Let's see. Let's what we got here. That's more like it. We'll have that one. Thank you. And then going back from the chorus to the verse, we probably want something with a lot of crashy. It's too much, isn't it? It's too much again. Dirk, just chill. Of course, the thing is, I have shitloads of other MIDI files, and what I occasionally do when I can't really find something is I bought some Toontrack MIDI packs, and oh look, I have a Toontrack MIDI pack called Straight Rock Fills. So if we go to short fills only that are done by Martin Christofferson, so shout out to Martin Christofferson. He does stuff like this. Which is kind of generic, but it actually gets the job done. So are there any cymbal ones? No, there aren't. What about this one? Oh, there's some crashes there. What's this sound like? That'll do. We'll have that. So a bit of variety in the fills will actually help make it sound like it's a real drummer. So from the verse to the chorus, what's this one? Oh, that's nice. We'll have that there. Let's go. What have we got here? Right, those are the toms. So that's quite. Oh, we got some toms. That's nice because that leads into the toms on the bridge. So we'll have that there. There's actually a fairly decent fill at the end of that bridge. So we'll leave that absolutely as it is. Then we'll go back to the Metal Foundry and we'll go back to our song for a fill variation at the end of the last verse. No, at the end of the penultimate chorus. And we'll drop that one in there. And then we'll do the... I like the first half of that. I just don't like the second half. What have we got? These are all mental, aren't they? Yeah, that's not going to work at all. What about an intro fill? If I just use the last bar of an intro. Oh, they're all one bar, aren't they? Are they all one bar? Yes, they are. What do they sound like? No. Specials with a bridge, cymbal variations. Yeah, too much. All right, we'll just use that. We'll just use that snare again. So we'll use that one there. Ryako Music says these fills are hardcore. I'm amazed that I did that entire song in 60 minutes on Saturday night because I could spend. I do spend hours just listening to drum fills with Superior Drummer, and then I'll spend another 45 minutes playing with the effects in the mixer, but ain't gonna do that today. So right, that's what was that one? Right, so that's kind of getting into double kick drum territory, and I think that's what we do when we play out. So we let Dirk off the chain with that for the play out. You think? I think. So now we've got kind of a dramatic arc for our song, which yeah, it's going to be quite an epic. So it's going to be round about 5 minutes 30. So we've got our horns. What I'm going to do, so we've got the war tubers, but as Mel was saying, it might work if they were a bit sort of longer. So there is actually a tuba in Spitfire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the war tuba to the Spitfire tuba, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess with the tubas stuff. So we were using legato tubas on the war tubas, so I'm going to do staccatissimo, but with even more reverb for the tubas within Spitfire. And you will notice I've got my Raum reverb. So we're going to chuck that as something insane. So we'll have, what shall we have? Lizard King, what's that sound like? Mix all the way around. Solo the Spitfire tubas and the reverbs, so I get a chance to hear what that sounds like, and that is... that needs to come up. Why can't I hear much going on there? Oh, because I'm an idiot. Not quite sure why the horns aren't soloed. Let's try that again. It's going to do it again, isn't it? I'm not quite sure. Why? Do not understand that. Never mind. That's kind of interesting, but it doesn't fit. That's just all over the place, and will get very, very confusing very, very rapidly. That's kind of wobbly. I don't like that. That'll do. Okay. So we've now got our two tubers. Let's whack that over to the right and that over to the left, so we give them a bit more space. What's this sound like now? Wasn't playing the beginning of the track. Why you not play the beginning of track? What have I done? probably because that's quantized off the edge of the... Yes, it is, look. So it's probably the same on that one. Yep. Quite why it isn't clever enough to figure that out when I hit quantize, I don't know. But right, let's try that again, shall we? Change that note, didn't I? That note should be that note. Right, let's copy those again, because otherwise it won't play the first note. God, it's quiet in here. When is that fan turned off? So I'm guessing you couldn't hear the fan going, or at least I'm rather hoping you couldn't hear the fan going, but it feels like I've gone deaf. And the interesting thing is it's under 30 degrees in here because my computer isn't even running its fans to keep cool. It's just sitting there, which is lovely because when it's got these two 5-inch fans in the front of the case, and when they start going, they start going. Can't really record vocals with it. Right, Mel keeps a brilliant stream of suggestions. So try running through an amp, make it crunchy. Also, long strings sound good run through an amp, maybe some staccato horn accents in response to the wall tuber. I like your thinking. Like stabs a couple of octaves up, says Mel. So, well, I'll tell you what, I mean, wall tubers are going to be metal, right? So why don't we drop guitar rig on the wall tubers? If there it is. So haven't splashed out for the full guitar rig, but somewhere in here there we go, factory selection. So this you get a bunch, and I mean it's got to be cheesy metal lead, hasn't it? So this is what the wall tubers sound like through guitar rig. Let's solo them. Too much? Possibly. Or shall we just... Where's the wet and dry control on this? God knows. There's got to be a wet and dry for this somewhere. Anybody used guitar rig much? Options? No. Controller? Presets? What's this? Rig control. Volume pedal, metronome tap, tuner, screamer on off. They've all got separate drive. Come on, there's got to be an overall master effects. No. Right. In that case, we'll cheat. We'll click A for automation and device on. God. Input sidechain mix. Sidechain input gain. I just want dry wet. Asitlan says very over the top. Could do it like parallel compression. Yes, you're a star, sir. That is exactly what we'll do. So what we will do is I will insert an audio track. We will drag Guitar Rig 5 onto it. We will feed in that from Sforzando. We'll do it post FX just in case we drop anything in, and then we'll dial that right back. Work, I think. Right. Let's bring in some strings, because strings. So Chris's first point of call is always the cello. Let's arm the right track. Have a noodle for a bit because I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do here. Try reducing the reverb length. That's actually I think it's the amp cab in Guitar Rig. I don't think it's a reverb. Room size, let's dial that back. Let's drive it a bit. So let's try to see what that sounds like again. Yeah, it does drag if it's too big. There's a real lag to it, and I think it's the decay of it, which I guess is because it's a stadium rock. Let's try a different preset. So let's try straightforward metal instead. Fuzzy, isn't it? Simple guitar tone. Not really doing a lot for me. That's got the attack that the other one didn't have. That's better, isn't it? I don't mind the tail because that's metal, but it's got to have that initial punch, and the other one didn't have. That does. So, and my master is now almost permanently in red, so let's just drop the limiter on the master for the present. Okay, strings. Or even just duos. That'll do. Let's try that. So, armed track. Let's try again. Riaka Music says maybe 2 notes or instead of 3. Yep, that's what I was doing. I think 3 is too much, and we want to go up to 3 for the chorus. So we want to keep it simple. I'm going to, yeah, let's try that an octave higher as well. That'll work. And I'm still on 4 beats counting, aren't I? Right. Yep. Okay, I've got something now. Change the counting, Chris. Played for the riff, and let's try that again. So I'm going to do this the other way that I work, which is when I need to just sit and think about it, which is I'm just going to directly do it on the piano roll. So first bit's okay. Let's, where are we? We're there. Okay. those going for the duration there. Yourself a bit more room, so and that probably needs to be half the length, and then struck again, so that's kind of going to be that, isn't it? That should be the chorus. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's tidy that up in terms of dynamics, because that was kind of all over the place. We'll quantize a bit as well. So, right. Strings, cellos, celli. Says it's interesting to see how you work through a composition compared to how I do things. Points of similarity, points are different. To be honest, I find watching, I watch Mel work on her streams on Wednesday nights at 2000 hours BST. If you're interested on tuning in, it's fascinating watching other people work. And Devin Townsend streams for hours mixing stuff. And I actually run Devstream on the big 55-inch TV downstairs. And I'll just grab a beer and sit on the couch for 3.5 hours transfixed. It's just fascinating watching the way other people do very similar things to me, but do them completely differently, which is great, because it means, I could do that way. And I have learnt so much from watching other people's streams. Right, I think we need basses working to sort of pull down the cellos, because the cellos are kind of high there. So where are my basses? What do the basses sound like? think it's kind of going to be this octave, because this is the tubas and the cellos are up here. So I'm going to do a very, very limited single notes on the basses. So what could I do to bring them together? And of course, I can't hear a bloody thing I'm playing because it's all getting very loud, even though, oh, those are quite loud. So let's take those down. I find these days my mixes, I used to just have everything at 0. But these days, I mean, basses, I normally have at least minus 10 dB in a mix, because otherwise it just gets silly. So I'm going to knock those down to minus 10. And, well, that one's already minus 11. Let's see what that sounds like. Still bloody loud. It's cellos, isn't it? Quiet cellos will have you at minus 10 as well. I can live with the drums. Quite a few different people, learnt a lot too. American Music says you get a peek into everyone's insanity. Creativity. No, I think certainly in my case you were right the first time, mate. War Tuber's not totally in tune, is it? Let's just wing it for the moment, and we'll fix it later on, possibly. That is just horrendously out of tune with the, I'm guessing, with the War Tubers, which is kind of a bit of a drag. I think I'm going to abandon the basses. I might think we might have to try something a bit more synthy, which can be detuned, which can therefore hide the disparity in the tuning between the War Tubers and the cellos. So we'll go to a traditional synth plugin. Mel was talking yesterday about just how good some of the stock stuff is in Ableton, and to that end, I think we'll just use Ableton's wavetable synth that comes as part of Live 10 Suite, because I really like it. There are some ridiculous noises, so I'm just going to pick one of the more ridiculous basses. Actually, that's kind of detuned enough that it will, I think, probably take the place of the basses. So let's whack that on there, and we'll see if that works. And in fact, why don't, because I always do, because I love it, we'll have a ubiquitous arpeggiator on it as well. But we only want one step, and we want the distance to be a fifth, I think. Ooh, it's a bit Donna Summery, isn't it? Yeah, maybe that's not such a good idea. Let's just play the synth, Chris. Let's see what we can do with just the synth. Yes, that works for me. It sounds in tune. It's got a lovely timbre to it. It's much, much too loud. So let's try that. Riaka says, I share work on my stream, but I can't live stream building something from scratch. I get too self-conscious and I can't get into flow. You may have noticed that I am just away. Hence, I'm not responding to the chat because I am just pretty much in flow at this state. And I've been going, good grief, this stream's been going for an hour and 47 minutes. All right, I didn't do an awful lot for the first 45 minutes, but I'm getting into it at this point. So let's see what happens. So. I'm missing the key changing, aren't I? So let's try that again. Pretty much there. I'm not entirely sure about this bit. So let's just go. It's this section I'm not altogether happy with. So what's it saying at this point? It would work if that was all that was going on, but it's fighting the tubas there. Yeah, it's it's fighting the wall tuber, so I think that has to go up to the C. Kind of doing it. Yeah, Ryaka Music says, I feel like it's kind of interfering with the wall tuber. It kind of is, but I'm going to treat it, which will lift it away from the wall tuber. You'll see what I mean. Because what I'm going to do is what I tend to always do with bass synths is I drop trash 2 on it. So let's do that. Where's it gone? There it is. Atitlan says Chris works with much denser mixes than me, so I'm just seeing how he gets everything to fit. Yeah, I'm actually trying to avoid letting the obsessive side out of the box, because case in point with Trash 2 on a synth line, I will just play a bar with one preset and then tweak it and play the same bar again, and then repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, and then do it with 15 or 20 presets until I've found one that I kind of like. So I want to try and avoid doing that, because you'll be going, he's mad. And all right, yeah, I am, but there's no point in playing to it. So I'm going to pick some of my favorite textures in Trash, and I'm also going to make it probably not entirely wet, and it will now sound completely different. So we drop it right back to the mix, and now I can bring the wall tubers back up because I know what they're doing. And it kind of works. I mean, it'll work better when there's some compression and EQ on the various submixes, which I'll use Neutron and then drop Ozone on the masters. But that kind, in fact, I can probably drop that synth even further down. But it's just kind of there for flavour, bit of spice. So that's me chorus synth. And in fact, what we could do, no, I'm going to leave it on the first verse. We'll have something else to do in verse 2, because maintain the listener's interest. So always drop something new in each change from a chorus to a verse, or at least I do, rather than just having guitar, bass, and drums all the way through start to finish. Then bring the bass in the second verse, or do stuff like that. Okay, let's bring out the big guns. Let's have pigments. Let's do something with pigments for the chorus. Pigments is a multiple digital synth made by Arturia, and you get sort of preset version of it in the Arturia V collection, and I liked it so much I bought the whole bloody thing because it's gorgeous and it does all sorts of nice stuff. So let's loop the chorus, because it's the chorus I want to bring want to bring pigments in. So. You know what? I quite like that. Ashland says lots of pretty thick sounds, so EQ will help it blend, give space to each element. Yeah, exactly. And the improvement I've had in my mixes since I started using Neutron and Ozone, it just takes so much of the donkey work out, because it's like having somebody sitting on your shoulder going, "Do too many things in that EQ band. Get rid of one. That's it. No, turn that one up." And that's perfect for me. That's just the kind of thing I like. That was kind of nice, but is it wrong to just sort of go, yeah, that'll do, and just pick the first sound you heard? And no, what the hell? Let's go for it. So we have... So let's drop in that at the beginning. Punch in and out. Yeah, I do. I'm thinking on the fly. I'm going to make that faster. So kind of thing. Right, let's try that. Again, we're into a tuning issue here, because that doesn't sound right to me. I wonder if we go an octave up, that might be detuned enough that it works. Let's try it again. For me, and that final C can just sit at the beginning of the chorus and the bridge, and that'll do. Show some form of other strings, I think, for the chorus. So cello, we'll keep those for the for the verses. We'll have violas for the chorus. What have we got? So go back down. Oh, Hans Zimmer, where are you? If I can't hear it, I take that. I'm going to take that as a sign that there's enough in the chorus as it is. So let's move on to the bridge. So at the moment, what have we got? We've got a chorus. Before I forget, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the full 80s Jan Hammer card. So I'm going to copy those, and rather than pigments, I am going to use the standard 80s cliche. Yes, you've guessed it. If I can find the damn thing. Come on, it's in one of the very first ROMs. There it is. Right. So now... So we want something very silly over here. And when it comes to something very silly, there is only one choice. The Buchla easel, which is silly, the definition in the dictionary. Why? Well, if I just play anything, any set, and there are lots, they are just, at a glance, says brave choice. Absolutely. So now it's just, I'm not doing anything. It's like, yeah, I'll just do this. Deckard's drone. Nice bit of pulse width modulation there. There are just so many daft noises. You think, why was this so popular? And more importantly, why do people pay a fortune for one of these damn things? Astro in space? What's that? That's restrained enough to be useful. So why don't we try that? Okay, there's something there, and I think the delay is actually quite important there. So can I actually emphasize the delay? I've got an ARP Odyssey under the bed in the other room, and a lot of the controls are the same. And frankly, you know, once you've got ADSR and everything on a synth, then everything else is going to be more or less the same. But where on earth does the reverb fit in? Ah, there was an effects tab there, wasn't there? Delay, there we go. So if I emphasize the reverb, and I think we've got something there, haven't we? Let's just wing it and see what happens. One more go. That'll do. And again, what I should do, yeah, I was going to say it might be worth putting the. I've already got. Have I got anything in the reverb? Right, I'm gonna send trash 2. I'm going to take that off here, and I'm going to put it as send B, because then I can send everything to it. So bye bye Valhalla Supermassive, gorgeous though you are. What I'm going to use instead, so I'm going to use that isotope trash 2 just as a send, and then I can use it with the easel as well. Okay, what's that sound like? For the bridge structure, so we've got a fairly decent wodge of stuff there, and again I think we'll use the Buchla for the play out because I kind of like that, so let's go for that. What do you reckon, folks? Reckon that'll do? So, we've got our horns. What can we do with the trumpets, the trombones, that isn't going to mess everything up? A melody line there, I think, on a tenor trombone. Why not? Tuneness again. I don't think that's going to work. So let's kill those. Yeah, it's interesting how some instruments aren't. I mean, I don't know if there's any way you can micro tune the VST. There wasn't that I'm aware of. But that's just enough that it's bugging me. Settings. International 440. I mean, it says it's in tune. Or it says it's following the tuning that I'm used to. Detune. But that's in between individuals, isn't it? So if I whack the detune off, let's see if that makes it any easier to fit in with everything else. Maybe try rendering it, then running it through melody. Now there's a thought. There's a thought. Why don't we do that? Excellent suggestion, Mel. Thank you for that. It's funny, I haven't used Melodyne once on vocals during 5090 so far this year. Used them on fretless bass, though. I could not get my Ibanez Blazer to do what I thought it was going to do in my head, possibly because I hadn't played it for about 3 or 4 years. Do your magic, Melodyne. Okie doke. Run. It knows it's in C minor, which is good. I'm going to be quite aggressive with it, but not that aggressive. So we'll do it for 50%-ish. Okay. And then that should be it. So now we can get rid of that. Well, in fact, no, let's not get rid of it. Let's just mute it, shall we? And let's insert an audio track, and then that's going to have to become 47, and then we go to my folder. I should have one right at the end. Walltuber Fortune, there we go. Well, that's promising that it's the right length anyway, and the bits are in the right places. So what's that sound like? Sounds better to me, so let's have another go at our violas and see if that works this time. On it. Let's try that. Works for me, I think. So trim that. And this one I think we will introduce on the second verse. So that's how we pique the listener's interest in verse 2. Save life set. And as the viola's working, I'm guessing the basses might work as well. Shall we have a listen and see? What a difference. What a difference that has made. So that's usable. So keep on forgetting that the progression to the fourth is 4 bars, not 2 bars, because it's not quite blues. So try it again. The chorus somewhat there, didn't I? Let's just get rid of that bit and we'll punch in a different chorus. That'll do for the moment. So it's got to resolve back to the C, hasn't it? So cheesy. But apocalyptica it is not. So Control U, and I think I want another synth to drop on that play out as well. So let's go back to the synths. We'll go back to Ableton's synth rhythmic. What have we got there? Actually, that will probably be quite good at bass line. So again, we'll send that to trash quite a lot. So. Oh, that's nice. It does something completely different when you release it. So that's just going to sound very silly indeed. So let's pick that. Kind of too much, isn't it? Nice idea, but yeah. That's very end credits of The Shining, isn't it? Tangerine Dream. Probably have hit the fade by that point, but right. So I've been going 1 hour 40. Let's see what this sounds like all the way through so far. I think that if you use a rhythmic ARP, you should take out the drums, says Riako. That's kind of interesting. Okay, well, let's see what it sounds like muted. With the double kicks. Without. I see where you're coming from. For me, because the buchla is a bit iffy in terms of its timekeeping, I like the way the kicks ground it. I'm going to leave them in for the moment, but let's see what the whole thing sounds like from start to finish. So I'm just going to do some automation on the filter for that final arpeggiated synth. So we'll but I don't want it to go all the way to 0. So what we'll do, so what's that sound like? So good night, Atislan. Yeah, I am not going to finish this tonight. One thing I am going to do while I remember is that I thought, oh yeah, we need some trombones in the second half of the bridge. So let's just pop those in. If I got the record drop-in point earlier than when I was trying to record. That'll do it. I think. We can delete those. So, good Lord, I just noticed what time it was. I think I'm going to call it a night at this point. I need to think about where I'm going next with this. I think I've got a decent piece of music hiding in there somewhere. It's going to need drawing out. And then I will probably work on that some more. I will put a bunch of lyrics together over the top of it as well. So we'll see where that goes. So I will call it a night. Thank you very much for swinging by and giving me loads and loads of really interesting ideas to work on. Yeah, that's been really helpful because it's also helping me. I mean, all right, yeah, I'm not following everything you're suggesting, but certainly to have other ways of doing things for consideration is always useful. So, wherever you are, stay well, stay safe, and stay sane. And I will be back on Sunday night with another 5090 show. Not quite sure what I'm going to do on that one yet, but yeah, I'm sure I can come up with something. So have a good night all, and I'll see you next time.